can Demeter poison her or make her all, woo-woo with the flowers? No. Now, what are mom and daughter?
Not as close as they was.
They could be close, but they're equals. They're equals. So why is the rape used as the symbolism? Why is it the rape?
It's the change.
Someone that's
What happens?
She was able to, again, process,
But why do we use the symbolism of rape? Why
Because-
wasn't it a murder? Or why wasn't it,
something
No,
that was
because
taken
the
away
rape
to make
was
you something
taken
else.
what was taken?
her,
What do we usually associate?
her virginity was.
Your virginity, but what do we
her
usually
childhood,
associate
her childhood.
with virginity? Innocence, the childhood. We must get out of child. We must get out of that delusion of childhood that everything's great and everything's perfect. Our parents on the pedestal. And we must say, oh shit, mom and dad aren't perfect. What they taught me and their values are screwed up, and I have to figure out my own values. And that's most of the work that people do not do.
Until it's too late. Or something slaps you in the face one day and you have to.
And even so, trust me, I have a lot of clients that slapped in the face and they're still buying into the values of their parents because it's the hardest thing to change.
My
Your
friend-
value system is the hardest thing to change.
My friend that broke up with her girlfriend just went through that. She ended up with the girl. Mind you, she's never been with a woman before, but she said that they've had this connection since job corps years ago, whatever. My goddaughter's dad was murdered. Then her son's dad is just, he's there. So she saw this girl but the girl dresses like a guy, so it's more like a male figure. And I asked her, I said, are you with her because she's a female, or are you with her because she's like a male? She's like, well, I'm kind of confused on that part, like, am I marrying a woman or a man? Long story short, the girl used her for a lot of money, left my godchildren without lights. The lights
Rape.
were cut off. She
Perception.
calls me screaming and crying, and she's like, I can't believe I was so stupid, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, a snake doesn't come at you telling you they're a snake. You learn that later as you get to know who the person is. I said, do I feel like you jumped into it too quick and gave her too much money? Yes, but can you get it back? No, okay, so you're gonna have to stop blaming yourself for something you can't change. You have to move here now. I said, what are you gonna do for your kids? Yeah, but I gave her my heart. No, what are you gonna do for your children now? For your household? How are you gonna get your household back to where it was?
Okay, so perfect analogy. Perfect analogy. Are you going to get your household back to where it was?
Mhm.
She was raped by Hades, this woman.
Mm-hmm.
She lost something. The rape was her money.
Yeah, the money
Versus
and the-
Persephone lost her virginity. But we
Yeah.
lose something.
She lost a lot.
In
from that.
every single learning opportunity, we must quote unquote lose something. I have a client who is a widow, and the other day we were talking about how she's lost friends because they haven't reached out to her. And that is the thing. And I said, you're supposed to lose something when you're in a learning or in an underworld opportunity.
Mhm.
And it is an opportunity. It sucks. I'm in it now. I don't want it. I'm having a temper tantrum. But it's the reality of what is. Then you come back home
Mhm.
and you must establish yourself back to how you were,
Mhm.
but different. There is a saying that says, chop wood, get enlightened, chop wood. What does that mean? Going back to your analogy, going back to this story. What does this mean? This is the simplest way I've ever seen it put.
You started by chopping the wood.
Okay?
You learned something.
Obviously, something was learned or lost. You lost and learned at
Yes.
the same time, and now you're back.
And you go back to the
doing
chopping.
And you're back the same, to the same place,
But-
but
different.
different. Hashtag
Do it
do it different.
That needs
The
to be a
only
tattoo
way
somewhere.
you're going to reach enlightenment, and enlightenment is simply learning a lesson. Learning your humanness, accepting that you're human. That is all enlightenment is. This idea that we're going to flow out of our body and we're going to go, bullshit. Bullshit. There isn't any bells and whistles that are going to go off when you're enlightened. I know this client of mine who has a friend, and her friend said, oh, I'm going to be enlightened by the end of, I don't know what year. And I'm like, what the fuck? People are clueless. This is it. This is it. You're raped. You have a stable situation, Demeter and Persephone. You're raped. You lose something. Something changes. You learn a lesson, hopefully, and you go back exactly to where you were, except you're changed. You're changed. You're diversionized. So why did the Catholic Church create, and I say that word intentionally, create Mother Mary or the Virgin Mary?
Catholic Church.
Think about it. If this is the answer to life, why did they create the Virgin Mary character in that story?
Because there had to be holiness. There had to be, innocence.
Like there had to be some
There
sort
had
of
to be
Purity.
purity.
There you go.
Exactly.
And what part of the story with Demeter and Persephone is the purity and the holiness?
Well, the chopping of the wood.
The chopping of the
chopping
wood,
of the wood.
the narcissus flower,
Right.
the keeping you
Uh,
in a daze.
Yeah.
So Mary was never allowed to get enlightened and go back home different. The Catholic Church does not want you to learn the lesson, change. They are Demeter. They don't want you to leave them and realize that you don't need a church or a building or giving them money, which we used to be in the day. Well,
Yeah.
if you
Oh,
pay
yeah.
us, you're going to get a big
Yeah.
certificate that you're going to heaven. Because heaven is here.
The more you pay, the better chance.
So it is so that you don't do this, the second and third steps. So you don't get raped and you don't come home different. So they leave you in the innocence or the delusion. And this has destroyed women. This has destroyed society in women thinking that they're promiscuous, that they're sluts, that they're evil, that they're devils because they enjoy sex.
Yeah, I always grew up with that, like we were talking about the easy boards and stuff like that. I had a boyfriend at the time that I think it only happened like once. And I was really curious just because I knew I had come from Broward here back to Miami and everyone's talking about this. My old school was busy dumping white kids in trash cans. So I'm like, okay, I'm either getting dumped in a trash can or I'm too prude. Well, all I had to do was have it one time, and porque fue eso? All the easy boards were full. Everything was full. Nicole's this, Nicole's that. So one day I said, you know what, you're right. How many? Did I enjoy it? Did he have a pencil? And I started encouraging it. I said, well, if you're going to keep telling me this is what I am, then I'm going to let you believe it. Go ahead. Just let me know if I enjoyed it, because last I checked, I don't think I enjoyed it. I was a smart ass since middle school.
But do you see that we've taken a story that's symbolic about enlightenment, about personal growth, and the church has distorted it to a way that is to make us feel bad about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so what we were talking about Disney on Tuesday is that all of these stories are sort of, you need a man to validate you, the princess needs the prince. But now we've gone the other extreme where I don't need a man at all, and this and that, talking about your daughter. And neither one of those extremes, because those are just extremes, are beneficial. It's about the partnership and the things that we talked about on Tuesday. But that is why the Catholic Church created a virgin character. It is just a story. And so rather than her getting raped and growing, And again, the rape is symbolic. It's just about innocence, leaving home, doing it on your own. This entire story is the story of the hero's journey. It is what every movie is based on. It is what every book is based on. It is what every story is based on. It's very simple. I've taken 12 steps and basically narrowed it down to 3 because it's the gist of it. But when you read a story, these are the steps. Why, if God invented humans because he loves stories, would it be any different when your client is telling you a story? No different. Your client comes, something happened to them, they left some stability, Demeter and Persephone, they were raped, they got divorced, they got cheated on, they got stolen, whatever it is, and your job is to help them get back home having learned something. And by back home, I mean going back to a stability. You never, ever, ever go back home and it be the same. When Persephone shows up with her mother, she is not the same person. So therefore, you never go home to the same situation. It's impossible.
But I have a question about that.
Yes.
Because yesterday I came up with my mom why I told her straight up, I was like, why do you keep saying this whole change thing? And that I still need to work on it. And I said, oh, because every day we all work on changing. And I'm like, yeah, but I've already changed enough for you to realize it. Like, I'm not comprehending the change that you want. I will never be the change that you want. I am making my change. And my professors even say it, from the day they met me to now, the fucking
Huge.
progress has been huge. So she's like, oh no, I see it, but I'm not gonna be, what's that called? Like telling you all the time that, oh my God, you're doing such a great job, you're doing.
Like my mom, no way
I'm
no
like,
se dice.
right, and I'm like, that's fine.
Hated
But
that. Yeah.
sometimes you need to. Like, I need that from you sometimes. But she still keeps with her fucking change. I'm like, listen, you change. 'Cause I'm done.
So first of all, she's absolutely the one that needs to change.
Yeah.
And what she's doing is tapping into her humanness and recognizing that she's not perfect. And if she's married to Jesus, and Jesus is perfect, she's not sufficient a wife for Jesus because she's not perfect. So she's criticizing herself. Her issue is with her own humanness. That's first of all. With you, you can respond or not, but, and James isn't here, but maybe you guys know, I don't know, how, when the body changes, you know how the body like renews itself? James, how quickly does the body renew itself? Every so often you have like a whole new cell?
I think it's
Generally 72 hours to like a week, 2 weeks.
Okay, so whatever it
It's
is.
I'll look up right now.
Okay, so however long it is that you have a brand new body, a whole new body, did you do anything to slough off those cells? Did you do anything to, regenerate your liver or your pancreas or whatever it is that the body does? No. This idea of that we have to change and force the change is the biggest bunch of bullshit. It is going to come. You see how I use that metaphor? It is going to come. I have a client who is obsessed, as I was. And I've changed a lot in that respect. I partly attribute that in part to my marriage's demise, but I was obsessed with inner work. I was obsessed with change. Well, if someone would have shared that analogy with me, maybe that would have helped, maybe not. And so I have this client, like I was, who's obsessed with it. That's all she talks about. It's constantly, and the inner work, and the inner work, and the inner work. Well, first of all, and Gurdjieff said this best, you can't be doing the work all the time. So that's first of all. When I read that quote, and I love Gurdjieff, I was like, oh, okay, ding, ding, ding.
Thank you for my break.
Thank you,
Yeah.
first of all. But second of all, just like we have the ebb and flow, just like we have the underworld and we have the upper world, we also get a break sort of in our work. But the metaphor of the body regenerating itself, every single cell is new, is the exact same thing with the mind, with the psychological component of the work. It's a mind-body-spirit connection if we believe in that. So if the body regenerates itself and every cell is new, why would we believe that our psychological work is any different?
And it's like, okay, my best friend, she's a personal trainer. And I've struggled with weight since I
What
had
is
first-
weight? Psychologically,
Worth.
what is added weight? So first we hear calorie,
Mhm.
so there's a worth issue, but what else? What is the function? When someone has an issue, and we learned this in health psychology, if someone has an issue physically, and they come to you and say that, what is the question that you ask?
What side? Like where?
No, before
Oh.
that. What is the function of that organ, or what is the function of that added weight? What is the function of fat in the body?
Oh.
To protect your organs. It's a protection mechanism.
For one.
Someone, right. So either at some point you felt cold, like someone, I don't know how to say that,
No.
and they aggressed at you, and you needed to protect yourself, or you felt cold in the sense that you were lonely, and since there was no one there, so to speak, you created an insulation.
Which
so
makes
that
sense
there's
why.
What does it say?
I was confused by the question because like every system has like a certain amount of time that it does.
So every system has a certain time, but there's one thing that's
It
like the whole
regenerates
body,
itself.
right, in every, however many years or something. It's just an analogy. The
And
point
that's
is,
But it's also days too, like there's. the
Yeah,
whole-
right, the skin is like days and things like that, but you have like a whole new body every certain amount of time, and it's the same cycle of the rape of Persephone. It's the same cycle as enlightenment. So this idea that you're going to reach enlightenment, leave your body, is ridiculous. You're constantly in this cycle, just like with your physical body sloughing off its cells. So when you can explain that, like I've had to explain this to my client, the one that's obsessed with the inner work, it's like, oh, so that means I have a time to just be whatever I want. Now, what are we working on every time we get raped and go to the underworld?
The human side.
We are working on what you have, that's just one of many, what you have as a human side or a weakness or a flaw. Where did you get the idea that that is your flaw? Yes, the value system of your parents. So Nicole, what was your flaw?
Growing up.
No, the one you wrote on your paper.
I accept what I shouldn't.
Okay, so what does that mean, I accept that I shouldn't?
Like my values are, I guess, because growing up, I was always very independent. I didn't really need playmates. I didn't need anybody around. I just had my Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys poster.
What did she just say?
She didn't have anyone around.
Okay, I didn't need, so what is she really saying? What's the
I
client?
wanted someone around growing up,
The
but
client is saying, not that she didn't need, but she developed a persona to believe that she didn't need, but really she didn't have anybody. She wanted it, but she didn't have it. So she taught herself, I don't need anybody.
that's like fight or flight mode because you have to
Of course.
continue on what you're doing. Like there was no time to sit there and go, I wish my mom was home. Oh no, I need to eat, clean, do my homework. I didn't have time to think like, well, let me sit here and ask for.
So, write this down. When you have clients that are doers like you,